want to talk a little bit about how we think about innovation at Amazon.com and give you a couple of examples from the world. This is the Wiffle ball, and the guy, his name is David Nelson Mullaney. And in 1953, he took a Coty perfume package, and out of frustration because his son had broken a window with a regular baseball, and created the Wiffle ball. His son named it. This woman is named Betty Nesmith Graham. And she is, you will know of her accomplishment in just a moment if you don't recognize her name. But she was an executive assistant in the time when typewriters transitioned to film cartridges from ink ribbons. And she was very annoyed. She was a great executive assistant, but she was a rather poor typist. And she was annoyed by her inability to erase her mistakes with the film cartridges. So she invented liquid paper, which after, she did this in 1956. And in 1975, she sold liquid paper to the Gillette Corporation for $47.5 million. So she did pretty well with her innovation. And by the way, it was just white paint. So there was no, she's a very, very clever person because there was no, special chemistry involved here. This was not a high-tech solution. But an extraordinary observation of a problem and a solution. Now, sometimes people see the problem, and the problem is really annoying them, and then they invent a solution. Sometimes you can work this from the backwards direction. And in fact, in high tech, I think a lot of the innovation sometimes comes from this direction. You see a new technology or there's something out there, some new understanding in the world, and you work backwards from a solution to find the appropriate problem. Carbon dating is a little bit like this. So, they'd always wanted this solution to be able to date things, but until they really understood radioactive decay, that wasn't possible to come up with that solution. So some new understanding, some new concept enters the world, and there are a lot of things like that in high tech. Another critical ingredient for anybody who would be innovative is persistence. And there are many examples of people being persistent in the world in order to make something work. This is one of my favorites. WD-40 was a small team, a small company of 3 people, got a government contract to develop some kind of coating that they could put on the skin of Atlas missiles while they sat in their silos to keep them from rusting. And they worked on this for a long time to find this right compound that would do this job, and finally did it. Now, it turned out that the Atlas missile market was a fairly small one. So the company wasn't really able to make much progress. Now, what does WD-40 stand for? It stands for Water Displacement 40th Attempt. And that's the name right out of the lab book when they did all this work to invent WD-40. So when they properly recognized the size of the Atlas missile market, they started to think about a different business plan. And the company was called the Rocket Chemical Corporation. And it was their only chemical, and it was their only product. And so about 10 years later, they renamed the company the WD-40 Company, and the rest is history. One of the most pernicious obstacles to invention is learned helplessness. So people get the problems that you encounter, if you encounter them for a long enough duration, humans, and actually biology in general, but humans in particular, are so remarkably adaptive that we pretty soon see right through the problems. We don't even notice them. And so great inventors and people they're very good at, ordinary things bother them. They wake up every morning and take a shower and they think, this shower is terrible. But it's very difficult to do that, to kind of push through this learned helplessness. You get used to something. Here's an example. This woman is named Mary Anderson, and Mary invented the windshield wiper. Let me get Mary's paper out here. Oh well, I don't know the story well enough. But Mary this was around 1913, and cars didn't have windshield wipers. In fact, when it rained, people would pull off to the side of the road, and they would take a rag and clean the windshield off, and they'd drive another mile and repeat this process. And they thought nothing of this. And Mary, looked at this, and she said that it's ridiculous, and that there must be a better solution than stopping every so often and cleaning off your windshield with a rag. And so she invented the windshield wiper, and she was roundly criticized that this was a ridiculous thing, and people had all sorts of reasons why it wouldn't work, primarily that it would be a huge distraction for drivers to have this thing going back and forth in front of them. But she persisted, and this happened very quickly. Within 10 years of her invention of the windshield wiper, they were standard equipment on all cars. So it was one of these things that, it actually, even though people poo-pooed it, once they tried it, they're like, not having to stop every mile with a rag is actually a pretty good idea. And so Mary definitely got the last laugh. And this is one of my favorite inventions and a fantastic example of learned helplessness. Because, toilet paper was invented. And people, let's see, the year, this is in the mid-1800s, a guy named Joseph Gayetti, 1857, invented toilet paper. This is the first toilet paper. It's hard to read, but it says, many people have wooed their own destruction, physical and mental, by neglecting to pay attention to ordinary matters. Rarely in an advertisement does one find such a profound statement. But this is one of those things. People didn't know they needed toilet paper until Joseph Gayetti invented it. And then very shortly thereafter, they began to realize they didn't know how they lived without it. And it's certainly difficult to consider going back. Now, let me make one very important disclaimer right up front that Amazon.com does not claim any inventions nearly as important as toilet paper. This is clear. But we have been working hard on innovation, and we've done a bunch of different stuff, and and we have been for the whole 9.5 years of our history, and I want to talk a little bit about that. So first of all, it's sometimes useful to take a little time travel trip and move backwards. This is what Amazon.com looked like in July of 1995. I think this is actually a screenshot from August, and it's changed a lot since then. This is, by the way, I wrote all of this HTML myself. No, really, please hold your applause. There's no need. Really, you're embarrassing me. Notice some of the very obvious problems that this has. For example, there's no search box on this page. The search box is a click away. You have to click on, I think 1 million titles will take you there, or search Amazon.com's million title catalog. So this is what the website looks like today. And we invest about $250 million in the last year, about $200 million a year for several years now, $250 million in the last year on technology and content development. And so the website should be better. These are significant sums of money. The company has generated over the last 3 years $950 million in free cash flow in the context of investing $650 million in technology in that same period of time. So we've gotten smarter about a few things. The search box is now, you don't have to click. It's not one click away. It's right there. And there are a bunch of other things going on here. But the point is that you lose track in the moment of how much innovation there is over a 9-year period. But one of the things that is very important at Amazon that we're constantly trying to do is reject this either-or thinking that really is, at the heart, one of the big impediments to innovation. Let me give you a simple example, which is in customer service. What we want to do is make the service better so that we can have the ACSI rating that you're talking about of 88, which we are very, very proud of. 88, which we are very, very proud of. And cause that's they have a panel of like 60,000 customers that they poll, so it's a very statistically significant kind of result, and it's something that we do. It's a metric that people have worked very hard, not specifically on that metric, but on the things that lead to it. So it's a great, for us, it's something that we are very proud of. We get a lot of customer contacts, and one of the things that we would like to do is minimize customer contacts and in order to save money so we can offer people lower prices but still offer great customer service. And so how do you solve that problem? Well, you do it a couple of ways. One is you eliminate defects and eliminate root causes of defects, because if customers are contacting you, they probably didn't want to. I think actually the number 4 reason we get contacted is to say thank you. And so that's kind of nice. We don't need to eliminate those contacts. But most of the contacts that we get are not to say thank you. They, sometimes come in all capital letters. So if you can eliminate the defects, you're going to save money because you're not going to have to handle the customer contact at all, and you're going to improve the customer experience. So there's no trade-off in reducing defects. And the closer you reduce defects to the root cause, the more that's going to be true. You're going to both improve the experience and save money. No trade-off. But the second thing that we did is build customer self-service. And this is this is the page where you go to do customer self-service.